Presented by Listen Headlines, latest world news from trusted sources.
Washington Post World, August 31, 12:21 America, New York. Live Afghanistan updates. U.S. ramps up counterterrorism focus as last military flights leave Kabul. Current and former U.S. officials have warned it will be far more difficult to head off threats to American security from afar. Washington Post World, August 31, 12:10 America, New York. Taliban control now quiet Kabul airport after U.S. withdrawal. The Taliban now hold full control of Kabul's international airport after the last U.S. plane left its runway. Washington Post World, August 31, 12:01 America, New York. As U.S. leaves Afghanistan, Europe sours on Biden. The sudden Taliban takeover in Afghanistan and the seemingly chaotic handling of the American withdrawal have shaken European faith in Biden's decision-making and political priorities. RT World News, August 31, 11:32 America, New York. Up to 40,000 people left in Afghanistan are eligible for evacuation to Germany, Merkel. Chancellor Angela Merkel has said that there are thought to be between 10,000 and 40,000 people in Afghanistan who worked for development agencies and are eligible for evacuation to Germany, should they wish to leave.
August 31, 11:25 America, New York. Texas's 6-week abortion ban lets private citizens sue providers. A Texas state law that bans abortion after as early as 6 weeks into the pregnancy could provide the playbook for red states to pass extreme abortion restrictions, without having to wait for the Supreme Court to revisit Roe v.
BBC News World, August 31, 11:20 America, New York. UNHCR, cautiously optimistic, over working with Taliban. The UNHCR's Filippo Grandi says there has been some positive contact with the Taliban.
New York Times World News, August 31, 11:18 America, New York. Bank of England removes art of leaders linked to slave trade. Oil paintings and portraits depicting 7 leading figures at the bank have been removed because of their connections to slavery. The Bank of England building in London. The bank apologized last year for the role of some top officials in the slave trade. Washington Post World, August 31, 11:11 America, New York. An Afghan politician spent her life working for women's rights. She barely made it out of the country. Once she was negotiating with the Taliban over the country's future. On Monday she caught one of the last flights out. New York Times World News, August 31, 11 o'clock America, New York. European court faults Russia in murder of Natalia Estemirova. The European Court of Human Rights ruled that Russia failed to investigate the abduction and murder of Natalia Estemirova, a human rights researcher, but did not directly implicate the state in her killing. Activists holding pictures of Natalia Estemirova in July 2010, a year after the human rights activist was killed in Russia.
Wall Street Journal World News, August 31, 10:56 America, New York. In leaving Afghanistan, U.S. reshuffles global power relations. The stunning meltdown in Afghanistan frustrated and angered many American allies, inflicting considerable reputational damage. Yet the U.S. remains a dominant military and economic force, and its withdrawal from the country creates new complications for China and Russia.
New York Times World News, August 31, 10:56 America, New York. 6 sentenced to death in Bangladesh for killing of gay rights activist. The activist Zulhaz Manan, who had started a gay, lesbian, bisexual and transgender magazine, was hacked to death in a machete attack in 2016. A memorial in Dhaka, Bangladesh, in 2017, a year after the killing of the gay rights activist Zulhaz Manan, also referred to as Julaz Manan, and his friend Mahbub Rabbi Tanoy.
BBC News World, August 31, 10:54 America, New York. Fake Banksy NFT sold through artist's website for £244,000. Duped buyer says he feels burned after apparent hack of Banksy website.
August 31, 10:39 America, New York. Scuffles break out during school mask meeting in Florida. Tensions boiled over during a school mask meeting in Lee County, Florida. CNN affiliate WBBH reports.
Washington Post World, August 31, 10:31 America, New York. Western Balkan nations postpone school openings due to virus. Kosovo has postponed the beginning of the school year for students up through high school by 2 weeks following a surge of infections due to the Delta variant.
August 31st, 10:25 America, New York. Analysis: Madison Cawthorn didn't learn the right lesson from January 6. The insurrection at the U.S. Capitol on January 6 was a seminal moment in American politics and our country's history. It was the logical result of a president who lied to the country about, well, just about everything, including that he lost the 2020 election. August 31st, 10:23 America, New York. Progressives led by AOC call for Biden to replace Fed Chair Powell. Progressive Democrats, including New York Representative Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, are calling on President Joe Biden to give the Federal Reserve a sweeping makeover by replacing Jerome Powell as chairman.
RT World News. August 31st, 10:22 America, New York. Indigenous health bodies slam Australian gov's joke. Response to COVID outbreak in remote communities despite 18 months' notice. The Australian government has drawn flack over a disappointing vaccine rollout in remote Indigenous communities in New South Wales, NSW, despite being warned more than a year ago about the need for urgent and drastic action. RT World News. August 31st, 10:10 America, New York. Greek PM fires public order minister after wildfires destroy 250,000 hectares of woodland. Greece's Prime Minister Kyriakos Mitsotakis has fired the country's Minister for Public Order as part of a cabinet reshuffle in response to criticism over the government's handling of a series of wildfires during the summer. RT World News. August 31st, 10:06 America, New York. Google, Facebook and Microsoft top EU lobbying spending amid clampdown on big tech's powers by Brussels, study. Tech firms have allocated almost €100 million to lobby the EU over the past year in an attempt to counter new tough laws regulating their activities, with Google, Facebook and Microsoft laying out the most cash, a study has found.
August 31st, 10:05 America, New York. Biden set to address the nation following the U.S. withdrawal from Afghanistan. President Joe Biden is slated to address the nation Tuesday on the end of the war in Afghanistan, a day after the last American military planes left the country, concluding the nation's longest war nearly 20 years after it began.